The following episode of We Making It is part of a mini-series highlighting the body business stories of dance artist professionals who are creative partners in the Sydnie L. Mosley Dances collective. SLM Dances is a New York City-based dance theater collective that works in communities to organize for gender and racial justice through experimental dance performance. This fall, SLM Dances is fundraising to build our collective power and continue to make this work possible. Hashtag we making it. In these body business stories, we speak candidly about our budgets and bank accounts while sustaining a commitment to impacting our communities with our gifts as artists. Please visit SLM Dance's website to learn more about how you can play a part in reaching our fundraising goal of $10,000 by December 31st, 2019. Again, that's slmdances.com. You want to know what else you can do? Well, let me tell you. Share this episode using the hashtag SLMDBodyBiz, that's biz with a Z, 10K, and help us share our body business stories with your community. Now, let's get back to the show. And welcome back to another episode of We Making It. Ooh, this is a weekly conversation with New York-based artists around what they are making and how they are maintaining adequate water levels in the process. Continuing this money series with SLM Dances, I have another special guest. Special guest, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Maya Simone.
Hey, Maya. So I don't know if you guys have listened to the episode with Amma, but it is totally out, so check it out. But I also met Maya that same summer that I met Amma. If you listen to the episode, I talk about New Generative Dancer. Maya and I met a New Generative Dancer, but were you living in the city at the time?
I was not. I was living in Boston.
Cute. Yes. And so Maya and I feel like have just kind of like read in the similar circles. And so you know how it is in the city. You be out and you're like, damn, I know you. How you doing? What you been up to? Have you moved? And so it's always good to be in the company of someone you know. So if you had not noticed, I did not say what I am reading, but let me tell you really quickly what I'm reading. I am reading Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's really good so far. I think I'm going through this phase of reading stories that are specifically built in slavery time, but have some element of magic to them, and apparently this book does. Also, continuously shouting out to Afia Adekora and Conjure Women. That book is so good. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. If you have read it, reach out to me and tell me what you think, but don't tell me no spoilers. What happened last night? Oh my gosh, I watched Say Yes to the Dress last night with Emily. It was fantastic. For those who don't know, I am in a podcasting intensive that is ending. And so it was so great. I left class early because my episode is done. And I got to go home and watch Say Yes to the Dress. So that's what happened last night. So I had to rewind a little bit to kick us forward. So Maya, in all of my episodes, I always ask folks, what are they making? But in this case, I'm going to ask, what do you make? But before you tell me what you make, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I am a creative partner in development with Sydnie SLM Dances. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, I actually got involved with SLM by way of Purpose Productions.
Shout out to Nia.
Shout out to all of the wonderful everybody that is on the Purpose team. I joined in beginning of 2019, beginning of this year. And that is actually the, I think that's my kind of how I started as a freelancer. Mm-hmm. I started freelancing very soon after that. I started just telling people like, I'm a writer, hire me to write for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still doing that, kind of as like a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to periodically babysitting, in addition to working as a bar instructor, I just got hired as a regular at the space in Brooklyn. Check it out.
Hey, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yes. So I have that going. I am a teaching assistant 1 day a week through Marquee Studios. I'm also going to be working as an operations associate with a woman who runs a personal coaching business.
Wow.
And I got connected to her also kind of through SLM Dances.
Mm-hmm.
The dramaturg who will be working on Purple, her mother runs this coaching business.
Wow.
She reached out to me.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Cool.
Danielle's mom, Michelle.
Shout out to all y'all.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that as well, starting in a week or so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So tell me an average month, what are your monthly expenses? We need numbers.
Numbers. All right. Monthly expenses, rent just went up.
Yes. Damn.
Rent just went literally like less than a month ago. Rent went up to $775.
Okay, $775.
$775 for rent. We have on top of that utilities, which is around on average, we'll say $30 a month.
So you basically go ahead and just say rent plus utilities is like $800.
Yeah, so we'll say $800 for rent. And then we have groceries. Groceries on average around $300 a month. If I'm
800 plus 300 is 1100.
$1,100.
Okay.
And then we have my many loan payments that I got to make every month. Right now, because I am deferring my payments, I don't have to make more than $150 worth of payments.
Dang, okay.
But on a typical basis, like this coming, starting in like December, January, I'll have to start paying the regular amount again, which is about $210.
So 1100 plus 210 is 1310.
1310. And am I forgetting? I feel like I am.
You haven't started to travel yet, so
Oh,
let's go ahead
yes,
and
traveling.
kick it to MTA.
Ha ha ha. So that monthly MTA pass is we'll say $130.
130. So we were at 1310 plus 100 would be 1410 plus 30 would be 1440.
1440.
Do you have health insurance?
I'm on Medicaid right now.
So so Medicaid you don't have to pay, right?
No.
Okay, cool. Any other monthly expenses? Getting your nails done. Space rentals, because you do make work.
Space rentals, I spend on average right now, like I'm gonna say like $75 for a space rental.
Okay, so
that might be on the low end.
Okay, so can we just round it up to like what, 1,500?
Yeah.
So so you got just about 1,500. That's not including emergencies. That's not including an occasional night out. That's not including. But do you want to include that? Because remember Angelica, if y'all go back and listen to Angelica's episode, Angelica likes a good cocktail, honey, and I'm not mad at a good cocktail either. I ain't gonna pay for it, but I ain't mad at it.
Yep. I'm not going to pay for a cocktail either, but my partner and I will occasionally try to go out. Both living on an artist budget is real hard, but we like to go out for at least one meal in the course of a month.
Sweet.
Just like one nice sit down, have a meal together.
Cute.
And at least one movie. And these are hopefully not on the same night, because otherwise we don't be getting out.
There you go. But talk about strategies.
Yes, and we go to the AMC on Tuesdays.
Yes, because it's $5, baby. $5. Honey, I know about this.
Exactly.
I know about that life.
Exactly. Tell everybody.
You ain't got to tell me. I'm ready.
We got those $5 movies, plus those service fees and a bag of popcorn. Yes. I'm going to say I'm spending like $15 at the movies.
Right.
And I'm going to say I'll spend so we'll say $50 for like going out in the
Spotify.
Course. Yeah.
Okay, but that just made me think. So like Spotify, Hulu. Do you have any of that?
I don't pay for any of those. I get friends and parents, support networks who have those things that I can take advantage of. Yes.
Cell phone bill.
Also taking advantage of like staying on that family plan as long as I possibly can.
So you don't pay your cell phone bill?
I do not.
Great. Okay, I'm trying to think of all the things that we would have said. Cell phone bill. I'm trying to think of almost all my expenses. Oh, you do yoga.
Haha, yes, I do. Well, class in general. Class.
Yes.
I spend money on class. I also try to go to at least 2 shows every month, if not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to say I spend at least $50 on shows in the course of a month. I spend, especially after a Gibney's class fee just went up, I spend like at least $100 on class. So
I think
50
we
for
would
shows,
be
100
so
for class.
if we were at 1,500, we're gonna add 50 for shows,
Mm-hmm.
and then class in general. That includes dance class, yoga class, all of those classes. That would bring us up to $1,650.
Can we say 1675?
Let's just round it up to 1,700.
All right.
Just give you a little bit of a cushion.
Yes.
Okay, so your monthly expenses are coming out to 1,700.
Mm-hmm.
So break that down in terms of what do you make per job, per month, on average.
On average. So, in general, I've broken down my expenses in the course of a month down to what I know I need to make in the course of a week.
Okay.
So my goal in the course of a week is to make approximately $450.
That makes sense.
Because that's 450 times 4 is what?
If you round it up to 500, that would be 20. That would be 2,000.
Yeah. So that leaves me with
a $300 cushion.
$300 cushion. That being said, because my money comes from freelancing and from basically piecemealing a bunch of different things together, I don't necessarily hit 450 every week. Sometimes I'll hit 500. Sometimes I'll hit more like 375.
Right.
So it's like this game I get to play with my finances every month.
Right.
Not to mention, like, I've been doing the kind of smart thing of putting most of my expenses on my credit cards, because I have 2 right now.
Okay.
And then that helps me sort of offset any gaps I might have.
Oh. So then what do you, so like you use your credit card and then you just use them, like you just pay it off at the end of the month?
Right. Well, I try to make at least 2 or 3 credit card payments in the course of a month, so that at the end of the month, when I see like, okay, how much money do I need to actually just allocate towards making sure all the expenses are covered?
Right.
How much do I need to allocate towards making sure that my credit card debt does not balloon like crazy? So I have to sort of just play that game every month because, for example, this past month, because I was... Actually, no, I'm going to think about August, because August was a weird month. I wasn't in town very much because... it was not during the school year. That's what my teaching assistant job is. And a number of things that I do revolve around the school year.
Right.
Like babysitting and things like that. So that's 2 things that I knew I was not getting money, like sources of money I was not able to bring in.
Right.
So I had to make other plans. And I ended up being like $150 short, basically, by the end of the month. So I put all of my expenses for the last 2 weeks of the month onto my credit cards, and I paid off only a portion of that money because the rest of it had to go towards rent and utilities.
Right.
So,
yo, I've never heard this. Yo, I'm gonna have to steal this. This is so smart.
And if you get your get a credit card with
bonus rewards, I have one of those.
Yes,
honey.
And those rewards, that extra $10 that you get at the end of the month to put back into your card, makes a difference.
Honey,
let me tell you.
Honey, we gotta talk about this after this episode, because honey, I am. Oh. Thank you for this.
And you're building your credit too.
Yes.
Checking off a lot of boxes.
Okay. However, that said, you aim to make, so we're going to go backwards just a bit, because yes, this, and we got to go back. So you aim to make $450 a month, but breaking it down per job.
$450 a week.
Oh, so sorry. Yes. Yeah, $450 a week, because we give them $450 a month. Not shout out to people who can make it work. We just can't in this episode because that's not what Maya gave us. Going back a bit. So you aim to make $450 a week. What does that look like per job?
Okay. So That's such an interesting question. So when I look at my expenses, I normally do it on like a weekly/bi-weekly basis because most of my jobs pay me on a bi-weekly basis. So like this bar job, I'm just going to be starting this coming week, but I've been subbing up until this point.
Sure.
So when I get together the checks that I've gotten in the course of 2 weeks, I actually deposit those as soon as I get them, actually. That's what everybody should do. Advice for anyone who's listening, just deposit your check when you have it in your hand. I have mobile banking on my phone. So
very handy.
I look at my mobile banking app, and I also have the same thing for the credit cards that I have. I have a credit card with Bank of America, and I have a credit card with Discover. So I look at how much money I know I've spent, how much money has gone into my bank account because of the checks that I've gotten.
Sure.
And I basically do like a little bit of mental math and figure out what makes the most sense for me to do. And that tells me, all right, so I've put this much money into my loans and into my credit cards, and this much money is how much money I actually have to go towards rent at the end of the month. Because I never know if I'm going to have any excess or if I'm going to be lacking until 3 weeks have gone by in the month. And then that last week is when I'm like, okay, make decisions about if I need to put more stuff onto my credit cards or if I need to try and get another babysitting gig real quick before the month is over. Or if I just have to, I'm real good at finding jobs and doing them and like finding a new way to make small amounts of money. But after that 3-week mark is when I have to make some decisions, and then I can always figure out whether or not I'm going to be in the red or in the black.
Right. But you still haven't answered the question. What do you make per job?
Goodness. Okay. What do I make per job? So
like if you have we got a $1,700 budget.
Right.
How do you make that happen?
How do I make that happen?
Now on average.
On average, right now, I have Purpose pays me per project. On average, I've been making, I'm going to say like $15 to $17, $18 an hour. So if I'm working, and that's generally like on a month-to-month basis. So that money has been coming in the course of a week. I'm going to break that down to like the last project that I worked on, I was making around about $150 in the course of a month from a project.
$150 per month.
Yes. So that comes down to divide that by 4. That's what I'm making in the course of a week.
Oh, like $65?
Yeah, something like that.
No, because 50.
I can't do math, girl.
No, this is going to be like close to like 40 because you said $150 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking at something between like 25 and 45. Because I know 25 a week is going to be 100.
Yeah, you're right.
So something between 25 and 45 a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have that.
So if you do that, we're just going to keep breaking it down. So at this point, if we take $1,700 and we take away $150, you're looking at $1,550. Where that other $1,550 coming from?
That's coming from SLM Dances. I make approximately $150 in the course of a month from that as a creative partner in development.
So take off another what were we at? $1,550.
$1,550.
Subtract 50. That's gonna be $1,500. Subtract 100.
$1,400.
$1,400.
Yeah, $1,400. And then I have this teaching assistant. I make exactly 96 every week from that. 96 a week. Let's just go ahead and add the $4. That's $400 a month. So 400, and we were at 14. So that's, I have 1,000. Right, now we're down to 1,000. What else do I have? So I have my writing freelance jobs. I make I'm going to say about, like on a good month, I'm making at least $450 from that in the course of a month. $450. Okay, so what's that? $550 left over? Yes. So that's included. So what do I not have now? Babysitting. Babysitting gives me on a good month around 300. No, wait. In a good month, that's like also around $400
So
in the
you're
course of a
still
month.
coming up. You still missing this $100.
Yep. So that $100 comes from bar teaching and or getting like an extra gig somewhere. Normally, I'm actually kind of like putting that money on my credit card or something like that. So I'm used to not necessarily scrambling, but knowing that some of the money is like unaccounted for.
Right.
But I know I have like, I'm going to take extra hours doing this, or I'm going to cover somebody's bar class or 3, or I'm going to. So it's definitely a lot of piecemealing, more than I like.
Right.
But, yeah.
So I do think it's really cool, and I would love for you to talk more about, so the way that you budget or the way that you piecemeal it together is that you wait to the 3rd week of the month and you look at what you've made, and then you say, how many extra shifts do I need to pull? Is that what you were saying?
Something like that. It depends on like when the first of the month comes in the course of of the week
like
and whatever.
If it comes on a Monday versus a Friday,
that makes the difference for when I'm getting my next paycheck or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I end up. It's more like, I'm gonna say it's not necessarily the 3rd week. It's more like halfway through the month.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I know I have X amount of money coming in between now and the end of this week.
Right.
I know I need to plan to take over someone's class, or see if I can get some more hours, or see if I can get another writing gig to cover whatever I didn't get.
Now, the crazy thing about that is, like, when I initially hear it, I'm like, that would stress me out, right? Because my month is literally changing every month. However, does it stress you out to piecemeal it because it's piecemealing, or is it because that is your norm? It's fine. Because I'm like, do you wish in an ideal world that you wouldn't scramble halfway through? Because it is kind of nice, right? Like, it keeps you present. Like, maybe some month you get to the 2nd week of the month and you're like, I'm like, the second half of the month, you're like, I'm good. Rent's going to be paid for. It's going to be good. Then the other part of me is like, but it's like, if like you have to have so much in place to that makes that work. And I also, like, you're the first person that I've ever heard talk about this, so I'm like baffled. What is happening? Yeah, like, how does this feel month to month?
It feels, depending on the month, depending on the day, it feels like I'm constantly on. Like, I'm constantly thinking about money in a way that I think that my relationship with money in general has changed a lot, though, in the course, especially in the last year. Before I came to New York, I had a 9-to-5 salary job. I didn't have to think about money ever.
Right.
I knew when my money was coming in. I knew how much it was. There was never a question. And I could not stand working in that whole. I couldn't function in that world.
Right.
So I left. I've been doing this for essentially a year and some now. And it wasn't always so shaky. At one point I had a job that was more hours, but then I was beholden to just that one thing. So I actually feel good knowing that I make a lot more decisions about where my money is coming from. And that is the part that feels good. It's not the part where I have to look at my finances as often as I do. But I think I've also established a routine. So because I have this routine, because I know what I need to do in order to care for myself, and because I know that at the end of the day, I can depend on me first and foremost, which is the thing that is most important to me, I feel like it's worth it. So...
Well, that, and what I do like that, we have to talk about this off air, but we'll talk about it a little bit on air, is that you also have like a really cool system of a bag to pull from. So like, you can pick up this one thing and it'll be there. I think I've struggled with, like, I'm hoping that something will just come out of the sky. Because for those who don't know, I am a community actionist. And so, yes, we do assemblies, but it's not like I can request an assembly. It's like I have to wait. And if it comes, great. And if it doesn't, great. Whereas you making me think, like, what kind of job can I get where I could just, like, reach out and be like, hey, can you use me? Because I don't need to be no questions. Like, look, I need this money. Can I come work for you? And we're going to get it. That's really cool. We got to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing is, to me, is like, I've become more comfortable with knowing that things just aren't going to be stable and solid for the foreseeable future. Knowing that, and knowing that there's still things that I want to do, like we've talked about this before, like I want to go out of the country for at least a month in the next year. And people look at my finances and be like, how can you even conceptualize that?
Literally because we gave you a $1,700 budget, and that did not include the savings, and that did not include, you didn't say anything about putting any money away.
Right. But when I do that, I can. And it's definitely not a part of my consistent every month budget. But sometimes when I have that $300 cushion, $250 of that is going towards me saving for things, because where else is the money going to go? I've made a decision, like very proactively, not to pay off more than a certain amount, like a certain percentage or whatever of my credit cards or my student loans, because I'm going to be in debt for most of my life anyway. I'm not going to try and pay off more of that money now as opposed to later, because that debt's going to be sitting there for at least the next 10 years. There's nothing I can do about that. Unless I get a completely different job. If I stop working in the dance field tomorrow, maybe that would change. But I'm not going to. So I've decided to be comfortable with the fact that I'm going to be in debt for a long time. I've decided to be comfortable with the fact that I'm going to be in this unstable place for a long time. So as long as I'm in those places, then I'm going to have to do the things that make me feel good. Like I let myself get a latte if I want one, if I know that I have everything covered in the course of a month. It's a rare occasion, but it happens sometimes. And I don't feel bad about that anymore. That's crazy.
No, it's not crazy. Like Angelica said, you like a cocktail, baby, and I ain't mad at it. Well, and I do think that as I'm listening, I'm thinking back to like just a lot of the times, or like little things that I like that I feel guilty about. Like, I love coffee ice cream. If you don't know me personally, girl, that's my favorite ice cream, like, ever. I also really love mangoes, but they're not in season, and I'm trying my best to eat in season. But those would be, like, my little, like, ooh, today was a good day. I deserve ice cream. And I found out that there's a vegan ice cream. Ooh, and super, like, the holiday Oreos came out already. If you don't know about the holiday Oreos, they covered in white fudge, and they are literally unavailable from like October to like December. You cannot see those for the rest of the year. So you know who got a box? Me. It's in the cupboard. I'm gonna have a cookie later on. But all of these, I think what I love about what you're saying is like you've grown comfortable with instability. And when I say that has been a struggle for me, it's really not my cup of tea. It's really not. Let me tell you, it's not at all. However, it is nice to hear you say, like, not only have you grown comfortable with it, but you've created a system where, like, yes, you're on, but you also get what you like. So, like, if you want a latte, you can have a latte. And if you have the money to save for traveling, you save for traveling. It's almost like this like very nice if-then statement. Like, if I have this, then this. And then if I have this, then this. That feels a lot more, I don't know, that just feels a lot more tangible. I feel like my if-then statements, listening back to you now, oh my goodness, I keep hitting this mic, y'all. Listening back to you now, I think my if-thens are wrong. I feel like I'm shutting changing myself. I'm thinking about what you're saying about this $450 a week. Honey, I only make $250 a week right now, kind of. I need to get these numbers to be up. And maybe my if-thens will feel a little bit better. We'll think about this. Okay. So that said, in thinking about these if-then statements, I want to shift the conversation a little bit. And let's talk identities. Tell me a little bit about the identities that you hold on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. Well, I am a Black person. I am Black, not African American. I like to identify that way. I am queer. I am a cis woman. Though I have interesting different ways of expressing my gender on a day-to-day basis, I sometimes look very different than I do right now. Yes. That's fine. But like something I like to point out is not an identity that I hold, but like I work with kids a lot, right? Kids on a regular basis ask me, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Yes. And I love having that conversation with kids. I love it because it confuses them, and I think that confusion is very, very good and like a great way for them. It's a great growth place for them, right? Yeah. So I just like to put that out there when people ask me, like, what are the identities you hold? I'm like, I'm a little bit of I feel like a chameleon a lot of times. I'm just like, because of the way that I move through the world in terms of the work that I do and where I am, people like in the dance world see me all over the place, and I look very different in one place than I do in another. I work in one place, and versus being able to just exist as a dancer in another place. So, should I just say my identities and how they?
Well, yes. The next question is, how do you feel like those identities play a role in not only the money that you make, but the choices you can make around money?
This is such an interesting question. When I've been thinking about, especially lately, when I've been thinking about money, something I don't have in my budget, but I try to leave room for, is that like I have a younger sister who is a non-binary artist, musician, working and living in Boston. My sister moved in with me when I was 21, about to turn 22.
Yeah.
I did not have the means to support somebody else, but they moved in with me anyway.
Right.
And because it just needed to happen at that point. And they're 3 years younger than me. So at any given point, I'm constantly thinking about how my sister is doing. And sometimes I send money to that little bit of cushion, I send it to my sister.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what I want to be doing as an older sibling. I want to be able to support other people in my life, if I can in that way, and they need it. So on a regular basis, I'm thinking about the fact that I am a light-skinned Black person, and I am a skinny Black person, and while my gender expression and while how people see me might sometimes affect the way that they treat me, it does always, because we're living in a race-based society. I still think about the fact that because I look the way that I do, I still do have a lot of, I am closer to what is considered acceptable than my sister, who is thicker than I am, who is darker than I am, who is non-binary and does not feel comfortable oftentimes in a lot of spaces where they're gendered and raced in certain ways.
Right.
And I think that it's made it easier for me to be a chameleon in comparison to my sister. And for me to be able to, I mean, my father has told me that of his 3 children, I'm the oldest. I'm a hustler.
Yes.
of all of his children, he's like, you a hustler.
Yes.
Which is very true. If I look up at the end, like in the middle of the month, and I'm like, oh, I need to get another gig, I go out and get another gig.
Right.
I get another 2 just to be safe, you know?
Right.
But I know that I'm in certain ways I have privilege to be able to do that. And in certain ways, also I think because I am the oldest sibling and I have a feeling that I need to be doing this, so that maybe not right now in my life, but at a later point, I need to be able to care for other people. I need to be able to help out my younger brother who's in college, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing great.
Shout out to you, honey. Yeah, good job.
Like you go, Mason. But I know that that's just something that's constantly in my head. So I think that having that and knowing that I present in certain ways and I can come into spaces and people aren't necessarily going to think, should I trust this person to give them this job? Right. I don't have the same privileges that like a white woman does. Right. However, I know that a lot of times, like when I said, I'm a writer, you should hire me to write for you. Right. I sent this woman who lives in Italy a sample of my writing work, and she just hired me. And I had the privilege of knowing, like, we're online. You don't even know what I look like, really. Right. I have a picture on my profile, whatever, and you've seen that. But because I can get a lot of my work online also, that's a privilege for me also. So if I didn't have a way to make money that way, I would be in a lot more trouble than I've previously been.
With everything being face to face.
Yeah, exactly. So there's also that, which I think about sometimes.
Right. And do you mentioned your skin, because I've been thinking a lot about, especially with doing this series, how can we be a little bit more clear about, like, this is why this. And you mentioned, like, you are lighter than your sister. Are there any other thing? And you also mentioned that, like, a lot of your business is, like, it's not with face or not forward facing. So can you think of anything else that was like, oh yes, I got this opportunity because I have this?
I think that came to mind when I was getting certified to be a bar fitness instructor.
Yeah.
I was one of like 2 or 3 people. There was not a very big group of us, but there was you immediately notice like how many people who are not white are in this room. First, my brain immediately does that whenever I walk into a room.
Yeah.
So I immediately noticed that there were very few people of color. I was one of 2 Black people, ostensibly, in the room when I was getting certified. And that continues to be true, I believe, when I look at how many people are like in the fitness industry.
Oh, yeah.
Which for 5 seconds I considered, should I try and make that the thing I do? So, because I know I can make money doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That there's so much money that people will just sort of like
throw at you because they want to be well.
Yeah. So I thought about that for 3 seconds, and I thought about the fact that I don't want to bank on the fact that I am this skinny, light-skinned, like I normally have a shaved head Black person who can sort of almost, I can't blend in a sea of white faces, but I can easily be tokenized and then make bank off of that.
Right.
And know that they're taking advantage of the fact that they have a Black person as a face of XYZ studio or ambassador for whatever brand.
Right.
There's so many of those right now.
Right.
And they have so much money that they're just throwing at their tokens.
Right.
Who, like, if that's what you need to do to get your bank at the end of the month, like, all right,
Yo,
like, I'm not mad at you.
Right.
Do your thing. I just chose that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that was a very conscious decision that I made because Katie, I wrote the application. I was about to submit on like 3 different applications that I knew someone who was going to be choosing the brand ambassadors for these like.
This was a shoo-in.
Yeah. I'm just like, yo, I can do this. And I decided that I would not do that because I knew how I would feel at the end of the day if I was.
Yeah.
And so here I am piecemealing instead.
Yo.
Yeah.
Come on, integrity of an artist, James Baldwin. But that's a great segue too. If these are the privileges that you hold, which you've laid out so clearly, what have been, given those same identities, what have been some like noticeable barriers that came with those?
Well, I think the flip side to knowing that it's easier to do online work. It's easier to do work where people don't necessarily see my face all the time. The flip side to that is that it's a lot of times really difficult for me to do work that is constantly my physical body being present and being on and being available to people.
Yeah.
Working as a bar fitness instructor can be real hard, not just because of the physical demands, but also because a lot of times, like, I am the only person of color standing in the room, and I'm also the teacher, and people have expectations of me, but a lot of these people are just here to get in their hours worth of working out for the day before they go and make a lot of money at their job. Or it's at the end of the day and they've just come back from their long, grueling day as a financial whatever, making, thousands of dollars. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm here to get I get paid. I'm still negotiating my rate, but if I get what I want, I'm getting paid at least $50 an hour to do that. That's a lot of money to me. That's nothing to a lot of people.
Right.
So I think about how my physical Black body shows up in spaces where the power dynamic feels so interesting because I'm here to make the money that I need to do the art that I want to. The money that I'm making is going right back out as soon as I get it.
Right. You're not like a little squirrel saving some nuts for...
Like, if I get some extra nuts, I get to go save them, and that feels real, real good. But it's not really a given. And knowing that I'm constantly in spaces, most of the jobs that I do, I'm working with like when I'm like watching all these white babies as a babysitter,
Yeah.
I've literally never watched a black baby for as much money as I would normally be asking for. Right. Like if I'm asking for what I know I need to make my ends meet, if it's not like a favor for somebody or whatever, then I'm watching somebody's white baby. And they're like trying to pay me as little as possible to get me to stay as long as possible.
Right.
And like I was in Indy for a full year this past year, and I was hanging out with all these Caribbean women who were like laughing because I was like younger and skinny and like, oh, you won't be doing this in a year or two from now, don't you worry. Like, and I was just like that hit me somewhere deep. I'm just like, you're right. Like, you're right.
I feel seen and I feel acknowledged. And on that note, exiting stage left.
Yes. So it's just like a lot of, there's so many like, even just in single interactions with people in the course of a job that I have, like knowing that I'm going to go from that job to another one and still be feeling some kind of way. It's a lot of constant negotiating.
Yeah. Well, and you did bring up a good point that I don't think has come up in any other episode except Bianca. And Bianca, though, is Latinx, is white presenting or white passing. Bianca could negotiate her salary. And for those who don't know, I tried it once. It didn't go over so well. Oh, wait. Okay. So I've tried to ask for more money. I'm not talking about the negotiating where somebody says like, hey, what's your rate? Like I've given a rate and someone has been able to meet it. But I've also been in a situation where I was like, look, I need to make more money in order to stay here. And they were like, we don't have no more money. And I was like, so I guess I ain't staying. What is really inspiring for me to see is that both you and Bianca, it sounds like, have both been able to negotiate. And when I say negotiate, like, this is what I need to stay. And both of you have been accommodating. Like, yo, that's inspiring for me to see, like, somebody that's white passing is doing it and somebody that is black is also doing it. Like, come on, give me life, give me hope. I'm here for this.
Yes. I mean, I think that it's interesting because, like, my journey financially has been so, like, up and down. I have like made a lot of conscious decisions that have in a lot of ways coincided with my work with purpose. I think purpose has really helped me find my own means of recognizing like this is where my power lies. Like I actually have a lot of knowledge and I have a lot of things that I can offer, and I should be compensated for those things, and I should be valued in ways that allow me to live a life that I want to be living.
Right.
And that has meant saying no to some stuff. And that has meant saying yes, but, or yes, and to other things.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how that's allowed me to just like carve out a pretty clear set of what I consider to be acceptable.
Yeah.
Expectations of the people who I'm getting my money from, because I recently had a conversation with someone about this. Like something I don't have in my budget because it's so touch and go is like freelance dancing beyond working with SLM dances.
Oh,
right. Because like this month, I don't think I have any money coming from freelance dance work. Right. But last month I had almost $100 come from that.
Right.
And that's not a small amount of money when you're counting dollars and cents.
Right.
So it's been really interesting being like, oh, like I have the capability to do that. But that also has meant like the reason why that is the case this month is because I literally was just like, I can't say yes to you if you can't pay me more than X amount of money. I know you're paying out of pocket. I know that you're in the same place as I am. I know with all these things still being said, this is what I need.
Yo, that's real.
And it was like and I haven't had to do that before for dance work specifically. And I think that it's such an interesting thing that I've talked about with people more in the last month than I have ever before. Just like, even as dancers, when people are like, oh, like you want to do this because it's going to be great exposure. You get to put another thing on your bio, on your resume, on your whatever. And so you need me as much as I need you. And that's just not true.
Right.
That just isn't true. I think that
Right.
people can't continue making those assumptions because it's damaging to everybody involved.
Right. Come on, Maya. Come on, Maya. Out here taking stock. Okay, so to close, my little game that I've been playing with everybody that has been so great. So for you, we're gonna break you down to only your last minute jobs. So for you, we'll give you an amount of like 300. That should include like your assistant job and some bar classes. But that's it. We're going to give you like $200. That's all you got. And no, you can't make no more money. You got $200. You can't make no more money. Who you going to call? What you going to call to allocate resources so that you can make it through the month? Is it all going to go in the credit card for the month? You just going to keep it pimping for that month? Or you going to call your mama? You going to call your sister? You going to go back to Boston for a month? Like, how you going to make it work?
Ooh, okay. So what do I like? Is this in the course of a month?
Yep.
All right. So, I may find a friend to stay in my apartment, in my room, and have them pay me a portion of the rent for the month. That's like an avenue, an option. Assuming that my roommates are fine with it and all of that works out, that would be one way to cover the gap. That would mean I'm staying with my partner for a portion of the month and I'm paying slightly less for groceries because we're going to split groceries more evenly that month. That's another way to close that gap.
Yep.
I might choose to go and stay with a friend or my sister in Boston for a portion of that time so that I can not stress out my partner's roommates and so I can pay even less for groceries.
Yeah.
Because I know how to get a real cheap bus ticket to and from Boston. I can pay less than $20 to do that.
Okay.
I can make sure that I'm staying with the right person or people to make sure that I'm not paying a ton of money for my expenses while staying with a friend or whomever in Boston. And like I have some friends that I know who make a lot more money than I do, who I went to school with, and I've tapped those friends like, oh, like I can stay over, like, oh, so you're gonna pay for the meal we're going out to eat, yeah?
Great.
Like,
thank you.
Because we have an understanding. Like, I'm like, yo, so this is how much, like, that I'm struggling. I'm not struggling, but like I'm hungry. So like,
and being hungry is a struggle.
And being hungry is not always easy. So if you can help me out with that, if you're gonna buy this meal or 3, like,
thank you.
Like, blessings to you. Thank you very much.
Bless your heart. Bless your toe.
Exactly.
That baby toe too, and the toenail that grows from it. Blessings on all that.
For all of it. So I will tap on those things.
Yeah.
And I generally don't ask my parents for money, but
right.
My dad, who worries about his children, has been graciously covering a portion of my loan payments. It wasn't consistent until like a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna question this. I'm just gonna let the Venmo keep coming.
Thank you.
I will take this as long as the fruit keeps falling from the tree. I will partake,
honey,
yes,
and make a pie with it.
Exactly,
to eat on.
So that has also been like a lovely thing. I do have a tiny. It's not a nest egg. It's like the makings of a nest to hold the egg that will provide. So I have that. If that's my like backup plan, and my backup plan, I actually have a retirement account that I started when I had a salary.
Go ahead, Maya.
And I put at least $2,000 into that thing. And if I ever that is like, if the world is falling apart and there is literally nothing else that I can do, then I will go there. But
come on, Maya.
I will never touch that unless I absolutely have to.
Well, and I think it just says a lot that you had the forethought to put it into place when you were making a salary job. And what I also want to echo and like lift up is that you do sound like you've been really, I don't know if it was strategic, but you got folks around you that can hold you up in a way that you can't. Like, you have folks around you that have resources that you don't have, and that I feel like, again, I don't know if I have that. I just be hanging out with other dancers, and we all got the same resources.
Yeah, none of us gotten it like that. So,
like, I gotta find some new. I don't have new friends, but like, I guess I gotta open up my network a little bit. But to close, Maya, where can the people find you?
Where can people find me? I am on the social media. I am on Instagram.
What's your name on Instagram?
My name on Instagram. My @ is Maya Maya Simone SIMONE, like Nina Simone.
Hey.
.z Maya.simone.z.
Cute.
Yes.
Are you on Tumblr, Twitter, and even though Tumblr just got deleted, so like Twitter, Facebook, website?
The website is forthcoming,
hey.
So check out the Instagram to get the link to that. It's gonna be up. The goal is to have it up before the end of the year.
Cute.
But I'm mostly on Instagram. Yeah, I have a Facebook. I want to say that it's the same as my like you can find me there the same way you can find me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Also Maya Simone.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
As always, guys, I want you to make it live. I want you to make it breathe. And since it's Maya's episode, maybe we should think about how we can make it flexible. Like, just be out there, be ready. But as always, guys, I just want you to make it. Bye. You say bye too.
Bye.
Now, a note from SLM Dances. This episode of We Making It is part of a mini-series highlighting the body business stories of Sydnie L. Mosley Dances creative partners. SLM Dances is a New York City-based dance theater collective that works in communities to organize for gender and racial justice through experimental dance performance. In sharing their stories with you, SLM hopes to make plain their needs as dance artists and inspire you and all SLM Dances community members to think and act from a place of abundance, empathy, and urgency. SLM Dances is fundraising to build our power as a collective. Our goal is 10,000 by December 31st, 2019. Please visit SLM Dances website at SLM dances.com. That's SLMDANCES.com to join SLM Dances community and become a donor. Keep in touch with SLM Dances fundraising efforts by following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, all at SLM Dances, and the hashtag SLMD BodyBiz with a Z 10K.